a few minutes ago I talked about when, we sat around and said somebody needs to lead. Well, most of you probably were not very familiar with Job Creators Network until recently. The ones that are in the weeds knew who they were because they were doing such great work. If you don't know, it was founded by a gentleman named Bernie Marcus. He's head of Home Depot, one of my favorite stores. When I go there, I get lost for hours. They've received significant funding from a lot of foundations because their mission is so great. And I'm going to let Alfredo tell you about that. However, just like the 603 Alliance, JCN has stepped up and led. When I've said JCN or Alfredo's name, people tend to go, and I go, the billboards. And everybody goes, oh yeah, I know, I saw that guy on TV. So, without further ado, and I hope there is a billboard coming to New Hampshire soon, but without further ado, Mr. Alfredo Ortiz from Job Creators Network.
In just one day, New York, a visitor's place where no one lives on down to the pace. Let's say
good to be to it. Hello, everybody. Good morning. How are you? I am the President and CEO of Job Creators Network, and there is some material on your desks, or excuse me, on your tables there, that talks a little bit more specifically about Job Creators Network. I'm going to go through a little bit of who we are and what we do and why we're doing it. I also got some a couple videos that I'm going to be playing for you guys, but really we're all here because we believe in one fundamental thing: freedom and freedom and freedom. Right? And this is literally the fight that we decided we're going to take on overall, this socialism versus capitalism fight. I think the one thing I'll say that the Democrats have done extremely well on this fight for socialism on their end is they have, amongst millennials especially, they've been able to equate socialism equals social good. That is what they have been able to do. And that is completely wrong. Anybody who actually understands what socialism is, who fled a socialist country, just gets disgusted with what the Democrats are doing with this definition. So what we're hoping at Job Creators Network, in addition to all the great things that our founder, Bernie Marcus, believes in, and we're executing against that vision of his, this is one of the most important things, and we applaud and salute the President of the United States, Donald Trump, because at that State of the Union address, he made it very clear, and he drew that line in the sand, that socialism in this country has no room. And we couldn't agree more on that statement. The one thing, though, that I would say on that, isn't it sad that a President of the United States actually has to now make that statement at State of the Union? Right? This is the state of affairs that we're in at this point in this country, and this rising tide of socialism is not just fear-mongering, as the left media would say. This is true. This is really happening, and we're seeing this amongst our millennials, which is very, very sad. And again, we're going to try to do the best we can. I am now being called the billboard guy, just so you know. Mike Lindell, we're working with Mike Lindell, who is, Mr. Pillow, right? And so he goes, perfect, just keep calling yourself that. It worked for me, so just keep calling yourself the billboard guy. So anyways, we're going to go through this. And again, hopefully everybody has seen these billboards. If not, you're going to see them in a second. I'm quickly going to lay this out here in terms of what we do again. We're a national small business advocacy organization that really fundamentally believes in free enterprise. What we call ourselves is a do tank, not really a think tank. There are plenty of wonderful think tanks out in this country, and especially in DC. We'd like to call ourselves a do tank. And the one thing that we also do is we create content for employers. We fundamentally believe that employers, especially small and medium-sized employers, have an opportunity to have honest-to-goodness dialogue with their employees. I don't care if they're Democrats, Independents, or Republicans. Right? They have an opportunity, in some cases really what I would call a responsibility to have these conversations with their employees about how policies impact their pocketbooks and their livelihoods day in and day out. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. It's called what we call employer-to-employee education. We talk about small businesses a lot at Job Creators Network, and this is why. Nobody probably knows this statement more than how important small business is to our country. I believe in New Hampshire, 99.9% of businesses are considered small businesses in New Hampshire. When you look at it overall as a country, there are 30 million small business owners in this country that employ about 60 million hardworking Americans. That's a block of 90 million people. I mean, this is an unbelievable number, but I have to tell you, just about 3 years ago, when we started really pushing on the small business piece, I can't tell you how many members of Congress didn't know this was true. Very, very scary. They do now know that this is true. I love new, right? I don't know who here doesn't, but I love new. This is my favorite saying that people will talk about us, right? Job Creators Network is the most impactful organization you haven't heard of. I'm actually really okay with that. We love being behind the scenes as much as we can. Now we're a little bit above the radar, I have to admit. And I get all the love emails to prove that. But really, you know, Newt Gingrich and I really teamed up a couple of years ago to really fight for the tax cut. We're going to talk about the tax cut fight. But really, great American, as you know, he's been there, done that, and he continues to fight the fight. And we couldn't be happier about partnering with Newt on a lot of the different initiatives that we've got going on. Does anybody know who this is? Ooh, that's right, that's right. I call her the gift that keeps on giving. And in fact, she continues to keep, I just got a text, I guess she said something about using some poem, an anti-Semitic poem to defend Omar, Representative Omar. It's unbelievable. Every single day there's something that comes from her, multiple times a day. But anyways, she's the gift that keeps on giving. And, like I said, we're the billboard guys. This is what we did. Thank you. So, for those of you who don't know the story, and hopefully all of you know, Amazon went through this process and picked New York as one of their sites for their expansion of their headquarters. They call it HQ2. They were going to bring 25,000 plus jobs at about 150,000 per job to New York State, specifically Long Island City. Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio, and the representative of that particular district and others worked really hard to fight for that, got it, celebrating, except one person thought it was a bad idea, truly. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC as we all love to call her, and she loves to call herself. And she thought it was a bad idea, so she made a lot of noise, and a lot of people were upset about it and stuff like that, and protesting. And you know what Amazon said? If this is my honeymoon phase, bringing 25,000 jobs to this city, to the state, see ya, right? You really can't blame them, right? If this is literally what it was going to be like at the beginning, what was it going to be like as they move forward? So we thought it was pathetic. And then on Valentine's Day, she was spiking the football, AOC, about how, look how great what we can do together to fight these horrible capitalists, right? So we said, this is ridiculous, we still have to fight it. The following week on Tuesday, this is the ad we came up with. It was opportunistic in nature, and we went for it, right? 25,000 New York City jobs, lost New York City jobs, $4 billion in lost wages, $12 billion in lost economic activity in New York. Thanks for nothing, AOC. And I'll tell you where the $12 billion of economic activity come, and this is why it's so important small businesses are, right? Because that is where that economic activity would have come from. We estimated that for every single job that was being created, about 4 or 5 other jobs would have been created along with it downstream. Think about it. Think about the dry cleaners, the pizza guys, the deli guys, all the related economic activity that comes to serving each and every single one of those employees and that entire headquarters. Think about the hundreds of union jobs that were lost because union jobs were going to be needed to build the actual headquarters, right? So this is what she caused. So this actually got some attention, which we were pretty excited about. And here was the best thing of all. She responded to us. A word of advice for anybody running for office, do not do that. Okay? Bad choice. So here's what she said. A few things: effectively communicate the power we built in fighting dark money. We're dark money, which we're not, just so you know. and anti-worker policies like billionaire-funded groups blowing tons of cash on these billboards. Okay, so this was her response to us. It happened at 6 in the morning. She tweeted this out, and my first call was to my communications officer, literally at 6 a.m. And what I said to her was, I'm like, she responded, we are on. And so literally at 6:15, I had the team on call, and we were scrambling to get something up. And opportunistically, there was an opportunity to get this billboard, and so we bought it. And this is what it said. Right? So we responded right back within hours of her tweet. So, needless to say, she actually hasn't responded to anything we've actually now said, which is probably smart, but you can see there, hey AOC, saw your whack tweet, because like so much like totally like, it was a good idea. And so we said, you know, because she claimed that we spent tons and tons of cash, right, on these billboards. So we actually, on this particular billboard, I was a small business owner, by the way, so I like deals. I like opportunistic things. This opportunistically literally came our way. Call it a godsend, call it whatever you want, but opportunistically, we jumped on it. The billboard that billboard they previously saw cost us specifically $4,200, $4,200. Okay, she claimed tons and tons of cash putting billboards up. So I said, well, hey AOC, basically this billboard cost us about $4 grand. But you just cost New York City about $4 billion in lost wages. So more than the first billboard, this one actually got a lot more attention because people couldn't actually believe that I went back to her with her own words. So it was interesting, and you can see here, hey AOC, like I said, this cost you about 25,000 jobs and about $4 billion lost wages. Ouch. Okay, so we kind of had a little fun with her and her words and her way of communicating in the the millennial way, and you'll see that we got some a little bit further play with some more wonderful ideas, of course, like the Green New Deal, which we call the Green Raw Deal. All right, hey AOC, the Green New Deal stinks. It must be the farting cows. Right? So there's a little cow, real cute, got some attention. Then we came up with another one, because I'm not sure if you saw that she said something about she's the boss, right? Yes. So we had a reminder, of course, that the American people actually are the boss, and that she isn't. So we were a little bit more serious about that, but we thought it was worthwhile. And then, as you know, the Senate took up the vote, and not a single person, not a single senator, including the actual sponsor of the bill itself, voted for it. They just voted present or against it, which was amazing. On the Democrats, of course, every single Republican senator did the right thing, didn't vote for it. But so we said, we're back. And we thought we'd highlight the fact that not a single one of her folks, a single senator actually voted for it. So we've had a little fun with it. And you can see, and we're trying to think about other unusual ways and unexpected ways that we will keep highlighting the ridiculous policies of the Democrats, especially these radical socialists that are trying to take over our country. And this is what we now say. This is our tagline. We encourage people to use this wherever possible. Socialism takes, capitalism creates. It fits on a bumper sticker. It easily can be called for anybody you went into. But this is it, right? This is it. This is what we're talking about. That's all socialism takes. And the biggest thing it takes away is your freedom, right? The government completely takes full control. And if we need any more proof of that, it's Venezuela, right in front of us. Just within a decade ago, it was one of the richest countries in the world. Today, one of the poorest, with absolute upheaval. And this is what they're celebrating about? This is what they want to emulate? This is absolutely ridiculous, right? So please, wherever possible, I think we're actually going to probably try to come up with bumper stickers, maybe with t-shirts, I don't know, who knows. But socialism takes, capitalism creates. Please use it where possible. Do you guys like it? Yes? Yes? Thank you. And so we got some media. We're going to play a little bit of this media coverage right now, if you don't mind.
Amazon officially announced it will not be building an additional headquarters in New York.
Amazon blames politicians who will not work with us to build the type of relationships that are required to go forward with the project.
Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was a fierce critic of Amazon coming to New York.
So there's a new billboard on the block.
A billboard battle making national headlines.
There are new billboards. One group was especially vocal in blaming Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The Job Creators Network.
The Job Creators Network, calling out Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for her role in Amazon's departure from New York City.
Joining us now, CEO of the Job Creators Network, Alfredo Ortiz.
Alfredo Ortiz.
Wow, that's a heck of a billboard right in the heart of town square.
One of the things that we like to say is that socialism takes, but capitalism creates. Quite frankly, AOC represents the attack on our beliefs of free enterprise in this country, and we can't let that happen. And I got to focus on the lost economic activity of just hardworking Americans. We used to protest wars, now we're protesting jobs. Congratulations, AOC. Now you have 100% of nothing. She literally cost New York 25,000 jobs, $4 billion in lost wages, $27 or so billion in lost economic activity. We're going to keep defending free enterprise until we actually win this fight. We're really happy about over anything, right? I mean, look, I'm an ex-marketer by training, right? This is what I do. This is my job, is branding. Is that we were able to talk about something extremely important. Again, it was this rising tide of socialism. We really, obviously, it started with the president making that announcement at the State of the Union. We could not obviously agree with more. We're going to keep on doing this. But this drove, I think I did about 33 TV interviews in the span of a couple of weeks. This really got attention. And again, when you look at what we got for it, first of all, here's the quick results. 10 national TV stories, Fox and Friends, CB Squawk Box. It actually expanded way beyond that. Like I said, about 150 news stories, including the Post, New York Times, Washington Post. I mean, we were things that I never thought, Bizarre and Lizette, and all these things that I've never even heard of. But we were in there. Key tweets from Laura, from Sarah Carter, Newt Gingrich, Rush Limbaugh, for example. These guys went up on Wednesday afternoon. He did a 20-minute segment on Rush on the billboards. I'm not sure how many folks listen to Rush, right? Exactly. Do you know what 20 minutes on Rush means? You can't even buy 20 minutes on Rush. But if you had to, we estimated how much? It's about $253,000 for 20 minutes on Rush. So I'm quickly running out of time. Here was the media value of our tons and tons of cash, $25,000 translated to, I kid you not, and I got it verified multiple times now, third party, $253 million of media value. That means that's how much impressions this idea of socialism versus capitalism, right, actually got. And so we couldn't be more excited because that was a key part of what we need to keep doing. So I spent a lot of time on this. I just got the 2-minute warning, so I'm going to have to speak really fast because I only have about 60 other slides going. So here we go. Tax Discourse Campaign, it was great. We fought it, we won. Enough said, right? We won't even go for the recap. Here's the tour, what we did, 48 stops, 29 states, 30,000 miles. There's our bus, by the way. We love it. We actually have talking points on the side of the bus, because believe it or not, sometimes we get some congressmen that walk up and they forget what they were supposed to say. So I go, Congressman, it's on the side of the bus. So it worked really well. There I am with Vice President. We did multiple stops with Vice President Pence, talking about tax cuts, different leaders across the board. We do media outreach. You can see our advocates across, and we'd love to have advocates here in New Hampshire, so please look for me afterwards. We'd love to be able to highlight your stories of how you were able to put tax cuts into play. Here's our media highlights all over the board, from local to national newspapers. And employer-to-employee education program is what I've talked to you about. Now I have half a minute, so I'm going to go even faster. People trust employers, bottom line, especially small, medium-sized businesses, because they see those hard-working small business owners day in and day out. Informationstation.org provides you with that information to be able to talk to your employees in an honest fashion. Oh, EDE program, sounds like the microwave is up. Is that it? ED program, Facebook, YouTube promotion. We've got about 80 plus videos out there that talk about the free enterprise and pro-civics and things that should actually be probably taught in school that aren't. We're trying to cover that. We've got video views of over 30 plus million. This is a video I won't play at this point. It's called Medicare for All. Obviously, the craziness that Bernie Sanders represents here is covered. I encourage you guys to do that. And then other JCN programs that we do, we've got partnerships on the Hispanic front, the Governor's Committee, we're working very tightly. We met along with Secretary of Labor Acosta out in DC on a Sunday. We are committed to try to drive that number down as close to zero as possible. We believe that if you're a spouse of a military person, your family already is going through enough, the last thing you need to be worried about is trying to get a job for your spouse. We've got people out there who are trained in what they do. For example, a dental hygienist in Virginia, her husband got moved to Pentagon because she wasn't able to work 15 months consecutively because her husband gets moved around. She couldn't work for 2 years in Virginia because she didn't qualify for that, even though she was 18 years as a dental hygienist. The most she was able to do was work 2 months in a temp job. This is unbelievable. It's ridiculous. We are committed to that. We have now formed what's called reciprocal occupation licensing across state lines. We're fighting through that. We're hopefully going to have an opinion editorial in the Washington Post possibly even tomorrow, or if not, over next week. But we are committed to get all the Republican governors on board with this idea that basically says for our military spouses, if you're qualified in one state to work in that job that requires a license, you're qualified in ours day one, and you can work. So I wanted to make sure I highlighted that because it's a very important thing. I'd love everybody in Hampshire to talk about it, support it when you see it come out. We're talking to your governor as well, so when you talk to him, please let him know that you support this. I think it's extremely important. And if you love what we do, here's how to join us, please. Please, we need all the help we can get. Yes, my benefactor is Bernie Marcus, a billionaire, but I'll tell you that that's not what he gives me, right? I mean, he gives me enough money to make sure that we can do the stuff we need to do, but just like every other nonprofit organization, we count on small dollar donations. And we count on members to help us support our cause and what we do. So again, please, I encourage you, look up what we do. You kind of have a little preview of what we're doing, and I think that's about it, and thank you for listening to my story.